Hello and welcome back to another beautiful episode on Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. And today I have a beautiful guest with me, Mary Elizabeth. So welcome, Elizabeth. Mary, sorry.
Hi, how are you? It's so nice to be here today with you. It's nice to meet you because we've not met before.
Yes, exactly. So nice to meet you with you as well. Mary and I talked a little bit just before the show. Mary, please tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background, please.
Mm. Okay, so as a mom, we have many roles that we play. I've been parenting over 24 years, um, and I've done different things over that period of time. But I am a mom of three kiddos, and I've got a wonderful husband, and two of my kids are on the spectrum. So that kind of began my journey as an advocate about 20 years ago, and it's really transpired over time. And it's really kind of it's sort of morphed itself. It's an interesting, wonderful place right now that I absolutely love. But um, I one of my kiddos had a pretty traumatic experience at age 5 in her special ed classroom, and so it sort of changed my role as an advocate in my direction, and I ended up pursuing law and changing law and making things safer for children in classrooms and families and things like that for, making that experience better for children. I am a children's author, and that happened with the birth of my late in life son at 45 and or 44. And so I didn't know that was going to happen, but that was a wonderful experience. And that's in the book, The Bold Risk, Big Rewards. That's what I talk about is taking that risk that I took on myself and all the doors it's opened since then. But yeah, so I am an author for children's books and I do adult as well. I have two shows. One is online. Every Tuesday, 10:30, 11:30. And it's Writer's Corner Live. I've been doing it for 6 years with a friend of mine in Cape Town, South Africa. And then I have a podcast. Well, it's now a radio show slash podcast. It's called Cover to Cover, and it's on the Brushwood Media Network. And I have about, for 343,000 listeners around the globe. So I'm very excited about that. And I focus on a lot of it, I focus on authors and I focus on the writing world, everything that can be songwriting, it can be script writing, it could be publishers and publicists and those kind of things, but also inspirational stories. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow. Th- Wow, so much you do. I am so impressed, and
Oh.
thank you for sharing all that wonderful information. Um, I'm speechless. Can you share us a little bit about the story in the Bold Risk, Big Rewards? The story you shared and what you believe readers can learn from it, about embracing bold decisions.
Mhm. So I say, I haven't conquered like I haven't raised $1 million in a company or conquered a country or anything like that. Basically, what happened for me was, and I really, what I've learned through all of this is that it really doesn't matter what your age is when your path or your dreams come true, or the inner guidance comes and you hear it that tells you go do this. It really doesn't matter what your age is. You just need to do it. Like Nike says, just do it. And for me, my author journey didn't even start till I was 48, 49 years old. So that's where I embrace those things. I really do wish at my age right now that I had the energy when I was 30 and 40, because I'm like, good Lord, I could do twice as much as I'm doing now, which would be amazing. But my son was born very late in life and he came into this world with challenges, and I had a very tough recovery from his birth. And when he was about 5 months old, I was in prayer and gratitude for us both being alive. And in those moments, literally there was a story that was just downloaded, and it was a beautiful little story for, I thought, my son. And I wrote it down and thought, wow, that's so beautiful. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff just started coming. I just started writing and writing and writing. And I'd always written poetry, and I it was on my bucket list. I'd love to be published someday, but I never knew it was going to happen the way it did. And I sat on it for 2 years. And this is one of the reasons that I chose this story to tell, because I did. I sat on it for 2 years. I put it on a shelf or in a box, in my notebook. And I thought I would give it to my children someday. And I thought, I didn't believe in myself enough at that time to think that anything I wrote was important for anyone else. And who would want to hear what I have to say? I'm just a mom in middle America, right? So during those 2 years, I kept feeling like this nudging on my shoulder that said, you have to do something with that little story. And finally, I listened. So I think the title of my chapter is like When I Listened, because when I did listen, and I said, what do you want me to do? I like yelled it out loud, and it was like, you need to publish that story. But I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't even know where to go or what to do. So I did go to someone I knew who was academically published. And that was a joke in itself, because the genres of books, publishers now do multiple genres, but for a long time, and even still now, they may publish one genre. So somebody published by an academic publisher wouldn't know a clue about children's books. And so this particular individual did not, but he did introduce me to someone. He said, I think you guys might hit it off. And that was 2015. And we have been writing partners since then. And he's a dear friend of mine. And he had 8 books published at that time. He looked at everything I'd written, and he picked out that story that had come to me in that moment of gratitude and prayer. And he said, I love this. Can I write 10 songs for that story? And I was like, sure. Like, what else do you say when somebody asks you a question like that, right? So
Yeah.
he wrote 10 beautiful songs. They are like lullabies. They go perfect with the book. And then I found an illustrator who should capture the essence of what I was trying to say. And it's like, mommy loves me no matter what. She thinks I am perfectly made, even if I have imperfections. We all have them. But my mother sees, her love sees through that for me. And so what came out of all of that, it is a series called the Inspired Kids series. It's out now with Norton's Triad Publications, but my son inspired those with his how he came into this world. And I always wanted him to know, and still he's 11 now. He is perfectly made the way he is. He is okay. I want him to believe in himself and not define himself by what the world says is okay or not okay. And so that's one of my missions for children, and my passions is to teach them how to believe in themselves no matter what in their life, how to have tools to be able to do that, how to have positive language to speak. And so I've got I am pages in each of the books, and it came out February 2017. And 3 months later, it won a Gold Literary Maxi Award, which I was just like, holy cow, are you kidding me?
Congratulations.
So it's like I said yes finally to this inner voice that was this knocking, this nudging, and then all of these things transpired from that. And then here I am sitting here now. And I mean, I haven't done as much as other people have done, but for me and my family, it's been an amazing journey of doors that have opened and networking and opportunities. And it's just been incredible, actually.
Wow. That is I love hearing that, and just listening to that, the creativity, the love and everything you put into it, it's so amazing. And it is so true. Like my daughter's 5 years old, and we get caught up with life so much as adults. We forget to go back sometimes to that youthfulness. And the reason I'm saying that, because when we stop putting those brakes on ourselves, when we finally listen to that inner guidance, so many wonderful things start opening, just like for you. Did you ever think you're gonna go that way? Probably not, but you
No.
listened to your inner voice, you went in, you followed your heart, and all that love, and you're spreading and being that ripple in the world. It is so truly amazing.
Mm,
I
thank
love hearing that. And I had a glimpse of your books on your profile, and I can't wait to read it and get into it and share it to my daughter because she loves reading too. So
you.
this will be amazing. In your opinion, what are the most common fears people face when taking risks, and how can they begin to overcome these fears?
Yes, I remember seeing that question, and it made me start to think that I think for most people, fear of failure is there, whether it's in the forefront or not. I think it's always there, and it's also listening to those voices inside your head. Maybe you've grown up with. Maybe you picked up some belief system about yourself as a child. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're dumb. You're never amount to anything. Whatever it is that you've picked up and is running your narrative will get in the way of you trying to conquer or be successful. And you have to decide what your truth is, not what your belief system has that you've been carrying around with you forever. You got to break away from that. And not everything is easy or smooth. There's going to be bumps in the road. There are going to be failures. Listen, I've had plenty of them. I had to walk away from my first publisher. I had my second publisher. She quit during the pandemic. My third publisher passed away suddenly 2 years ago, which was devastating because he had become a mentor to me. And then now I'm with a publisher that is just amazingly wonderful. But when I say my journey was not normal, I don't think that's normal at all. I think that's a lot of trials to go through. Um, but you can't give up. You have to keep going. If something is placed on your heart and your spirit is wanting to go and create and be and whatever it is that it's wanting to do, you need to listen to that and let that be your guiding force. I mean, listen, the message that I got was to start a live stream 6 years ago for a platform for authors. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And the voice said, the information, the guide said, I don't care, do it anyways. So I did. And then all these doors opened up, like the joining the radio station in January. I mean, that was terrifying, but my instinct said, do this. And I did. And so it's just been an amazing journey so far. So I think sometimes we have to get quiet and we have to go into prayer and meditation and we have to wait for those answers to come because that's your truth.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know I've been in some of those places before, and I used to be, scared of my own shadow, as they say.
Mhm.
I had confidence issues, self-esteem, and many times also I didn't believe in myself.
Right.
Because of the things I've heard when I was growing up. And they did have an effect on me for many, many years. But then I decided to, stop, listen to my heart and say, no, I no longer wish to where I am. And going forward, I want to build something different. And then I realized, maybe later in life, but you know what, as they say, it's better late than never.
Yes.
Um, and I took initiative and I'm doing things I love, enjoy. And if you asked me 2 years ago, three even, if I'm ever gonna, be in books and international bestseller, I'll be like, yeah, right, sure.
I
Um,
know, right? Me?
um, yeah. But then I also had a dream over 10 years ago to write something. And I used to go to a bookstore and look at all those books. And, as a, person that's not into these things, you look at it, I was like, oh, wow, look at all these people from Hollywood, because I always thought it was Hollywood, right? And then I was like, wow, like, if only one day. And then I, let it go. But then when I truly stepped into what I wanted to do, doors just naturally start opening up. You're following your instinct, everything just starts flowing naturally, easy. Those ideas, those things just start coming. But
Yeah.
this is where you have to take that inspired action for your heart. And this is where it leads you and me to bigger, greater opportunities, right? So
Right.
it unfolds so beautifully when you actually let it in. Because when you keep
Well,
pushing it down, it just stays and
right.
nobody gets to hear your beautiful stories, right?
That's right. Well, and
Yeah.
it's also, I think about ownership. There are there are a lot of people in this world that they blame everything on the outside. This is what's wrong. This is what's wrong. It's that fault, their fault, and they don't stop and go, okay, so this pattern is happening over and over again in my life. And what is like, you have to kind of analyze it and take it apart. What is the main commonality here? Like, am I repeating a pattern over and over? Am I attracting these situations over and over? What can I do different? Because we're the only ones who can change ourselves. And and so and even if like somebody comes in who's got a bigger position in life, or they have more opportunities and they see and they want to pass that on to you, or maybe take you under their wing, something in your mindset changed for that to happen to you, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened, you know?
Yeah.
So I think all of that plays a part as well in it. And I by no means am perfect at all. I just know that that's how I saw things unfold, is that it's like when I finally listened, then all these doors opened, and here I am now. My daughters recorded the songs for my first book, and then they started performing with me in public. Like, we go to book events, and my daughter, my oldest would bring her guitar and they would sing the songs with the children. And now they're recording artists, and they've had a couple of their original songs go number one in Europe and in the world. And I mean, oh my gosh, like, who saw that happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's just kind of crazy. It's wonderful. Sorry, we're not going to use crazy.
Crazy in a good way.
Yes, yes.
Expanding, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, exactly. So as you mentioned, people, find it difficult to take the first step towards a significant change. So what strategies or mindset shifts do you recommend for initiating that bold actions?
Well, I think that, again, I think it is getting quiet and listening, but I think you have to decide, what is it you really want to do. I heard something the other day. I'm trying to think of where I heard this. It may have been on an interview, and the person said two things that are like the key to life, or the key to answers, questions, is figure out what you want to do with your life or in your life, and find the people to ask to help, or who can make it happen, how to make it happen. And so I think those are really, really important. If you can get to that place, maybe you want to be a speaker. I don't know. Maybe you want to be a doctor. Maybe you want to be a teacher. Maybe you want to be a lawyer. So you need to research and figure out who can mentor you, who is successful at it, and learn from them, so that you learn those right steps. Like, I got connected with someone as an author who had a great work ethic. So he taught me that work ethic. And we aligned really well as writing partners and friends, but we both are very hard workers. Being an author is, and if you want to just write and you don't care if you ever sell anything, it's totally different. But if you are writing a book and you want it to bring you, you want to help others with it, you hope that it will financially, have some value to it that will come back to you. Maybe you want to use it speaking. Maybe you want to use it in your business. You have to put work into it. But I think you first have to decide, what is it you really, really want to do? And that usually requires writing things down, and not just up here in your head and thinking it through. And, sometimes you have to write it down to kind of go, well, maybe I am too old to do that, like to be an astronaut, at my age. I'm too old to be an astronaut, you know. But
No, you're not.
well, I know. I'm sitting here
Anything is
telling.
possible.
That's right, right. Um, so I do think that you first need to figure it out, what it is that you want, and then find someone else who is doing what you want to do, and get them to mentor you, learn from them. It is so, it's like, I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard this so many times by the big, big authors in our world, because I get to interview these people. If you want to be a good writer, then read, read, read in your genre you want to write in, you know?
Yeah,
So, I mean, don't read romance if you want to write thrillers. So it won't work, you
yeah.
know? So I don't know if that answered your question, but I really truly believe, and sometimes it takes time for us to trial and error. Like, one of my daughters is in school for animation and filmmaking, and she's going to her third year, and she has realized she doesn't want to just animate. She likes other parts that go into the animation better. So she's had to kind of go through a trial and error to figure out where she fits and what's really works for her that she's good at.
Yeah, and that's true because, and the reason I say that because I've had lots of jobs, not because I can't hold a job, it's because I traveled a lot, came back, my mindset was in something else, something different. Look, I went from being a travel agent to a photographer to doing photo shoots for weddings to childcare development courses to now writing. So, I mean, I've been all over the thing. And at first I was like, wow, I really don't know what I want. I mean, but in grade three, I remember because I'm from Europe and originally born and raised, and teacher asked, "What do you want to be when I grow up?" And that time I used to watch a lot of American shows because I was from Poland. We used to have these shows. I'm like, "Oh my God, I want to be a cop!" A lot of cop shows, and
Uh-huh.
so I grew up with wanting to be a cop, and I took that out from most of my years, I was thinking about that. So, I started traveling, other things happened, and people told me, "Oh, you have a soft heart. You can be a cop." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." I didn't take it too hard. I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I went into the different role of traveling because I really fell in love with traveling the world, the people you meet, the cultures, the everything, right? So I just kept going. But then, travel was kind of like, the economy was up and down. I'm like, I need something else. So yeah, but it is so true. Sometimes you have to try different things. And then, like you said, sometimes halfway through, it'll direct you to something even better. You just don't
Right.
know, and then you'll find fulfillment in something else, something you
Right.
may not even expect, and that's the beauty about it. But you can't be like on the brakes all the time and not listening to your intuition and all that. You really have to at some point open your heart to other possibilities. I know a friend who went to school, did something in business. I can't remember. She came out of it. I'm like, and she's like, this is not what I want to do.
Hmm.
And that may happen. But now I look back all the things I've done and I was like, oh, what a waste. No, it wasn't. Actually look at them as all blessings,
Mhm.
as opportunity to enrich my knowledge, all the things I've learned. And now when I'm, running my business, I have so many things I can take from, travel experience, being an agent, being a
Yeah.
photographer, eye for something else. Now I'm actually started creating stories for children, and I'm like, oh, look at all the artistic stuff I can use and administration. I've taken administration. So many things we can take on. It's like unbelievable. So I don't no longer look at them as something I wasted my time on. I looked at them as golden nuggets of knowledge, going forward. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so many great things we can draw from all the experiences. So tell
Absolutely.
me, what do you hope readers will take away from Bold Risk, Big Rewards, this amazing book, and how do you envision it impacting their lives?
Mm. Well, that's a really good question. And I know we have so many stories in there. So I think they're going to, readers will take something different, I think, from every chapter and every author story because we all have different stories. But the commonality is that we chose to take a risk on ourselves. And the payoffs from it were big in whatever way that showed up for anybody. But I hope that the book encourages anyone who reads it to go, okay, it's time for me. Or maybe if they have had failures, they get back on the horse and try again and they have some hope. I believe that, we have things that happen to us in our lives. Sometimes they're not very good. And we're not intended to keep that to ourselves. We are intended to share those stories that we can help somebody else and give them hope that, okay, if she went through that and she's okay now, or she's on the other side, or she didn't give up, I can, I can do it too. So I hope that it gives them encouragement and maybe some ideas looking through the book. Maybe they see something that someone else did or read a story about someone and it gives them a direction to go or an answer they were looking for. And so I hope that That's what they will get from reading all of our stories, and that they can then go and implement in their lives.
Okay, great. And tell us again, what's the name of the chapter in this book? Your chapter?
I think it's When I Listened. I do believe that's what it is.
Okay. And do you,
When I surrendered and listened, or something like that. So,
okay. Awesome. I love that title. And I love the title of this book as well. It really makes you kind of like reach out for it and it's like, oh, what kind of bold risk can I take today personally? And
right.
Mary, do you have anything you offer for free in this amazing book?
Well, okay, so I think what I have in the book, I'm not positive. If you go to my website, www.maryejackson.com, I do have, I think it's on the top right corner of my website, downloadables. So there's free downloadables that I have on there, and they range from like ideas for things to do with your sensory kids or your children on the spectrum, to helping a child kind of get into a better mental health space. You can do it for yourself. There are things in there that are writing prompts. And stuff like that. So those are things that I'm giving away right now at this time. The other thing is, this is not a free giveaway, but what something that I do with Autism Tennessee is, we have I do a training for early signs and symptoms of autism and how to help families. And that's for like preschools and daycares and schools, if anyone is interested in contacting me about that. But I also work on sensory spaces for schools and libraries and companies and, businesses, and whoever is interested in being their environment being more sensory friendly and more aware. I mean, I would want to work for somebody who said, hey, if you're having a hard day, we have this sensory space over here that you can come and sit and relax for a little bit, kind of decompress and kind of get yourself, back into a better mental space. So, you know,
Exactly.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that information. And once again, once this video is posted, it will have all the links in the video to how to get in touch with Mary. And one last question. The name of my podcast is Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. How important do you think it's to start the day with intention?
Well, I love this question. And I was like, when I saw it, I was excited because for me, it's 100%. Like, it is so, I've been doing it for so long that, and it's something you have to work. It's a muscle. You have to get yourself into that. But I notice if there are days that I miss because it's, we've overslept or school, it's mornings like that, my day feels different. Like if I can, before I even get out of the bed, I work on grounding myself, connecting with the earth, just being calm and peaceful. I go into prayer, and I say the things that I desire for the day and I wish, but I also give thanks for everything and gratitude. And I ask for blessings and I bless everything, my family and our journey and anything that we're doing. And so that to me is setting my intention and my mental focus for the day. And it makes a complete difference for me. And I do it with my children as well. And my husband, I'm like, okay, this is what you're focusing on today. So
Yeah.
it makes all the difference in the world. And then once you get used to it, when you don't do it or you miss, you can totally feel it.
Yeah. Wow, that is truly inspiring. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and listening to our wonderful podcast. Mary, it's been such a delight to have you on the show. Thank you so much. If anyone would like to reach out, all the information will be posted in this video. Thank you so much once again, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.